Welcome back to the Health Longevity Secret Show, and I'm your host, Dr. Robert Lufkin. Our understanding of aging and longevity is undergoing a revolution that is upending our existing beliefs that aging is simply the inevitable result of wear and tear on our DNA and can't be slowed, much less reversed. James Strole is the executive director of the Coalition for Radical Life Extension, which is the producer of RAADfest, the largest global longevity education event of its kind. James is also the co-founder and co-director of People Unlimited, an organization that supports people interested in unlimited lifespans. Co-author of the book, Just Getting Started, 50 Years of Living Forever, James is a visionary anti-death activist and community builder who has spoken and written on radical life extension and physical immortality for over 4 decades.
Thanks again for your support of this video podcast. We appreciate any reviews that you provide, which help us to spread the word of the work that we do. As a thanks for your review, we will send you a copy of one of our most popular guests' book, The Path, Mastering the 9 Pillars of Resilience and Success by Dr. Stephen Sideroff. To receive it, just email a screenshot of your review along with your name and US address and include the title, The Path, to mail, M-A-I-L, at robertlufkinmd.com. We're sorry that we can only ship to US addresses at this time.
And now, please enjoy this discussion with James Strole. Hi, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Robert. I appreciate having being on. I hear you got a great show, so I was excited.
Likewise. I'm so excited to talk to you about health and longevity, as well as the upcoming RAADfest conference. But before we do that, maybe let's just take a moment and tell us a little bit about how you came to be so interested in this fascinating area of longevity.
Well, the short story is, and I'll give you that so I don't bore everybody too much, but at a very young age, I felt like something was wrong with death. It had to do with actually losing my grandmother when I was about 11, and I was very close to her. And that was my first, painful experience, with death. Up until that time, you're kind of naive. You are a kid and you think you're just going to live forever. You haven't been introduced to death from that place. And so, but I was very close to her. And when she died, it was pretty traumatic for me. And so I asked my mother, I said, well, when do I get to see grandmother again? Where did she go? And of course, I was raised in a Christian home at that time. And my mother said, well, you'll see her when, you die and go to heaven. And I said, and that didn't sound too good to me, the idea of me dying and then having to see it. And so I said, well, why can't we have heaven here on earth? Why do we have to die and go to heaven? Why can't we create, a heaven here on earth and not die? And she thought, oh, that's a very good thought. My mother, I was lucky in that context to have a mother who was pretty progressive in her thinking. And that was kind of what was called at those times a seeker, always looking for new answers in life. And so she said to me, yeah, says that's a good thing to pursue. So that was kind of embedded in me at that time. And even in school, I wrote, themes about it at an early age. When I got into, when I was in grade school, all the way up to high school, I would entertain that thought. It kind of put me in a different place, fortunately, at that time, because that was, I was in high school in the 60s, and that was a very tumultuous time, of course, with all the scene going on with, Vietnam and also the drug scene. And this idea, though, kind of put me in kind of a higher level of movement for myself. Even though I was also, typical kid, played sports and everything else, I got involved even at an early age with a teacher here in Phoenix that was teaching what was called integral yoga. And the master of that practice his name was Sri Aurobindo. And he his idea, he was kind of like the Abraham Lincoln of India. He wanted to bring together all the yogis to use their, what he called their super consciousness, to create a super body that would not die. And so he was into immortality. And so that drew me. And it's interesting, as you probably know, Robert, that when you have an intention in something, you seem to draw that to you in your life. And so I got involved with that practice at an early age. I was about 14, and I would attend those classes and everything. And it was really kind of to say the least, a life-saving thing for me, because I became a very good student in it. And I actually, the teacher, who was actually a certified, teacher in this field, and had a religious degree, actually wrote a letter to the draft board at that time. Not that I was a draft dodger, but he wrote a letter to the draft board and got me out of the war as a divinity student, which that's what I was doing. I was practicing, yoga at that time and integral yoga, but that was such a amazing experience for me at that time. And then later on, when in about 1968, I met the partner that I'm working with now, Bernadine Brown, and another associate that she was working with. And they were speaking about immortality and super longevity at that time. And they were saying it was possible. And there was no real science at that time around it. But there was also a very innate feeling in them that something was wrong with death, and that immortality or super longevity was possible. And so they were speaking about that. And I really was drawn to them. And in 1971, like I said, this is a short story. In 1971, I started working with them and traveling and speaking on super longevity and immortality all across the United States. And we got some pretty amazing response at that time. We were on television shows. We eventually got into Larry King's show, speaking about immortality. That was pretty exciting at that time. Larry King actually embraced our concept completely. He wanted to live. After the show, he took pictures with us and he said, "I hope you guys are right, because I want to live forever." So I thought that was pretty phenomenal. And then there's a whole new background to him that he was really interested also in joining Alcor, but that didn't work out at the time. So that's what led me to do what I'm doing today. Bernadine and I in 1996 formed this new company called People Unlimited, and it's a organization that's dedicated to the education and the connection and the inspiration for people to live unlimited lifespans. And now it's an international community. We're based here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and it's an open membership, and we have quite a few members that are actually very dedicated to actually propelling this new I'll say now very more well known all the time concept of unlimited lifespans. So it's been a very exciting journey. I'm so happy today, though. I'm very excited because now, back in 1971, when Bernie and I started together, no one was even speaking longevity, much less super longevity. And so now we're so happy because we've met all these these people now, and scientists and doctors and thought leaders that are actually working on this. There's already great data, and as you know, I'll say pretty substantiated proof that we are going to make it happen. It's just now a matter of when. And I always say, hey, it's going to happen someday. So why shouldn't you be a part of it? Why not actually experience that you also can be a part of this great new I'll say paradigm, this whole new venture, and be a pioneer for this new life. And so that's what's going on. And now we're in 2015, Bernie and I started reaching out to the whole radical life extension community, the super longevity community. And that's where we met with a lot of doctors and scientists and thought leaders that wanted our participation to help create a special event and that would actually galvanize the radical life extension community. And so that's what we did. We formed an event called RAADfest, Revolution Against Aging and Death. And in 2016, we had our first event, and it was a huge success. We had over 1,000 people at it, and it's been growing every year. So that's kind of like I say, the summary. We actually wrote a book on this called living forever and just getting started. and so which people can read and get more details that they like. But that's the basic story of how I got involved and where we are today.
Yeah, I love that you are in the space of radical life expansion and really immortality, which is kind of one extreme of some of the academic researchers on longevity are talking about a 5-year or a 10-year increase, but yours is kind of the other end of the extreme. And I think there's a place for all viewpoints in this community, and we all want the same thing ultimately, and we approach it differently. And I love your book, the just getting started, as you said, 50 years of living forever. That's such a great title. What have you seen in the last 50 years as far as in this longevity space? What are the most exciting things that have changed between when you started this in the 1970s to now? What's the transition with longevity research and the possibilities that you see now that you didn't see 50 years ago?
Yeah. Thank you for asking that, because it's been pretty enormous. It's been like a quantum leap, even in the last, I'll say, 5 to 6 years from the time we started RAADfest. For one thing, a lot of the scientists and doctors that were top in their field that came to RAADfest started collaborating together. And also we were able to meet other entrepreneurs, investors at RAADfest, which helped promote what they're doing. I mean, Greg Fahey, for example, Dr. Greg Fahey was able to he's the first actual individual that's able to have proof of actual age reversal with the thymus gland. And I think it was 2.5 years data on this that he was able to actually prove that you can reverse age of the thymus. And of course, that has a lot of other cascading effects, on the body. So that was a pretty enormous thing that he first announced that. I think it was in 2019, if I remember that data. And then along with that, there's been, just so many great new gene therapies. Dr. Bill Andrews with Sierra Scientists working on a gene therapy now that can actually relieve from the telomeres and reverse aging. He's got all the science on that. He's got all the formulas patent, and he's ready. In fact, he's looking for funding now to actually go into trials with that and create a pill in a molecule form that we can actually be able to take. Now, this is really extraordinary. I mean, this is a contrast, like you say, between when Bernie and I started talking this in 1971, where actually there was no science other than one day about a couple years, about 1973 or 4, I think it was, when Dr. Joshua Ledenberg, a great Nobel Prize winner, was visiting here in Phoenix, and he actually made the statement that immortality is possible. But that's the first time we heard any scientists. That was pretty extraordinary back in 1974, actually say that. And of course, we tried to meet him, but at that time, the science arena was pretty tight, and we didn't know and we didn't have the internet to reach out with. So it was pretty hard so from that time to now, where we have these protocols, initiatives on the table, all the senolytic programs, everything from dasatinib to rapamycin to you name it. I mean, you're working with rapamycin in such a great way, and which is I commend you on all these new senolytics, all the new CRISPR, you name it down the line now that's coming forth. SINS is working on amazing things themselves that have been making a lot of progress in it. Actually, the idea with that Dr. Aubrey de Grey has is that you're like a classic car, and we keep fixing that car up all the time and repairing the parts, and that's how we'll get to what they call longevity escape velocity, to where we're regenerating ourselves faster than we're aging. So that's the SINS concept. So all this plethora of great science that's happened just in the last 5 years. So exponentially, everything is moving so fast. I'm excited for the next 5 years. I actually believe that we will have an age reversal therapy available to us and within the next 5 years. That's my prediction.
Yeah, it's such an exciting time now in longevity. I agree with you totally that it's almost as if we're seeing an acceleration of knowledge. You mentioned rapamycin, which is a love of mine and an interest of mine. The protein that it acts on, mTOR, wasn't even discovered until 1996, and then autophagy, the Nobel Prize for that wasn't even awarded until 2016. And the Yamanaka factors for epigenetic reprogramming, I think the Nobel Prize was early 2000s for that. So things are just happening faster and faster and faster. It's such an exciting time to.
Yes, it is. It's a great time to live. Such a great time to live. I mean, interesting enough, in the midst of all the chaos that's going on in the world, in the midst of that is this great rising, you might say, out of the ashes of this opportunity for new life, right? Mm-hmm. And it's so beautiful in one sense. It's horrible that we have still war and some of the primitive things that go on that we have to deal with in this world, but we don't hear about the news about all these other great things happening. So people can really have, some, I'll say, hope for the human future, because really, there's always been war, there's always been conflict. I mean, I think now we're hearing it more than ever because we have, media outlets that are, more available than ever, the internet, everything else. So there's always been the human struggle that's gone on. And I really think this new era that we're talking about, that super longevity, can take us out of that human struggle, because we're going to create a value of human life that's never been before. And we'll think twice about destroying ourselves and one another.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you think longevity is about abundance, and abundance or the lack of abundance is what drives conflict and war in many times. And by creating abundance through longevity and other means, we hopefully will decrease war and other things as well.
Exactly. I mean, I think really I hate to say it at one level, but it's the only way, because I think it's the death struggle, the death program that goes on in the body that keeps us destroying each other. In fact, there's a recent study, I don't know if you've heard about it, at University of Arizona. It's called the fear of death, death terror syndrome. That the study was done that the terror of death is so strong in our bodies that we it creates a psychosis, it creates anxiety, it creates disease, and it creates a constant struggle within ourselves. The conflict within ourselves is so enormous that we don't even realize it sometimes from a conscious level. But ending aging, so these guys, is a really beautiful study. Actually, Dr. Aubrey de Grey sent that to me about a year ago, and I think it says a lot about the death program, because that's how I consider what death is. It's really like a program in our bodies that death, most people are programmed that death is inevitable because that's all they've seen. But as you know, and we all know, okay, just because something, has not been achieved yet does not mean it can't be achieved. I mean, we can look at everything from going into space to cell phones, to you name it, all the great technological advancements, flying. We always thought as human beings, oh, that's impossible, right? Until we see it happen. So immortality, super longevity, or, even if a person just wants to extend their life, like you said earlier, whatever that choice is, there needs to be the opportunity for that. Okay, even if you want to extend your life just 50 years, everybody should have the right to live as long as they want to live.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the great debates in longevity, I guess, is as a philosophical view of why we age, and I wanted to get your view on this. Do you think aging is just the inevitable result of accumulated wear and tear in our bodies, like DNA mutations, et cetera? Or alternatively, do you feel that aging is a program that can be modified and changed?
Well, like you said, there's a lot of different views on that. I think there is a mental program there, if nothing else. I think we know that for sure, because most people, like you say, when they even hear the idea of super longevity, they reject it because they've been taught different, and they'll even say that, oh no, I've had people actually say to me, and these were healthy people and vibrant people, and they would say, "Oh no, we're supposed to die. We're you know that's like it's a law, you know, from wherever it comes from God or from the heavens or wherever or evolution." And so I understand that, but we have to understand too at the same time, we're as human beings, we get very caught up in our habits, you know, and these habits get very ingrained, and then we begin to believe many times in our own bad habits. You know, sometimes we build religions around them. So you know, we have to be more. I'll say it pays for us to be more pliable, more flexible in that way, and understand that really, no matter what we've seen around aging and death, okay, not only is it beatable, but it's going to happen. And because it's the next new, I'll say, phenomenal frontier that we are faced with. We can't keep dealing with these limited lifespans and really prosper as human beings. We can't take death into space. You know, we need to end this conflict in our own bodies. And I feel the vitalness of this, and this is why to help be a part of it. And I'm really thrilled and honored to be a part of this whole arena, because I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm a galvanizer of people. Greg Fahey called me the Billy Graham of radical life extension.
I love it.
Yeah, I thought, oh, okay. Well, I'll own that because, you know, I am evangelistic about this cause. I'm inspired by it. I've always been, and so everybody needs to play the role that they play to help get this done.
Yeah, you're absolutely right when you say about our belief system too, that there are many pernicious beliefs that we have about longevity in our society, that, you know, that old people are frail, that old people don't remember things, which people are conflating chronic disease and with longevity, and they're not necessarily the same.
That's right.
Certainly longevity is a risk factor, the greatest risk factor for chronic disease, but aging in itself doesn't mean that you have to get those diseases necessarily.
That's right.
You know, I'm a radiologist by training, so I see that in our X-ray reports that we dictate things that say normal for age. You know, what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of brain atrophy, there's all this stuff, and that's not really true. That's not normal for age necessarily, and those beliefs can really affect things.
It's kind of putting an unfair label on aging, right? On older people, because then people buy into that. They think, oh, you know, you hear it all the time. Well, I'm 70 or I'm 80, so this just comes along with the turf, you know. I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. But the reality is, it doesn't have to be that way, and we know that for sure.
Exactly.
Just basic longevity protocols you can do now. Just basic health. We're not talking about radical life extension protocols. Just what's out there now available for everyone to do, that are just basic great wellness protocols that can keep your health into. I mean, I've been here now on the planet. I don't say old. It's part of the new mindset. I say I've been here, you know, for going on 74 years.
Yeah. I like it. Wow.
And so I'm better than ever, you know, in that context. I'm very thankful that I've been privy to all these new, you know, concepts to do. And of course, I took care of myself back even in the 70s or even earlier than that, because I knew I had a feeling that you needed to do that, of course, to get where I wanted to get. Did I always do the perfect thing? No, I had plenty, maybe sometimes a little bit too much partying, but hey, but I'm grateful today for what's available, just to have that great basic wellness and all these fantastic longevity doctors that are working to get the best of health at this time. Yeah,
well, I want to come back to your personal lifestyle choices in a little bit, but before we go there, as you've mentioned, you've had a long history in longevity, and you've created a number of great institutions, like the co-founder and co-director of People Unlimited, executive director of Coalition for Radical Life Extension. How are those different? And if people want to get involved in the longevity space, which one should they join? Should they join both of them? Or what are the different roles that they have that people could work with?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. I think, well, to be honest, it would benefit them to join both, because People Unlimited, all right, is a very focused and very, I'll say, concentrated experience of super longevity. And we have a very, I'll say, dedicated group of people here in Scottsdale and throughout the world that are very, very involved and engaged. You might call them activists in super longevity. So we meet twice a week right here in Scottsdale. We have a center here. We were meeting virtually, but now we're back in person again. Okay. And we also stream in members that come in from other parts of the country or world. But we're really focused. It's kind of like a human trial setup, because we try different therapies together and we test them. We have a lot of speakers, everyone from, Bill Andrews to Liz Parrish to Bill Falloon, you name it, come through. They were coming in person until the COVID-19. But now things are starting to open up, and we'll do more in person, guests, have them come in. Because it's a great place to be. They like to come to Arizona. They like to come here and speak to these people because they're very excited, energetic people about the cause. So that's the benefits of People Unlimited, because you really have a network then that's very close and it's really very consistent. Okay. But RAADfest and the Coalition for Radical Life Extension is just great in itself too, because the network is very large. All right. We also have about 8,000 members now already and growing. And then a lot of other connections to wellness doctors, also entrepreneurs and so forth that are very interested in seeing the coalition prosper and benefit. And so there's a lot of connections that people are able to draw from, for their health and for support to do what they want to accomplish, what they want to accomplish. And it's a very exciting event, RAADfest itself, to come to and have over 1,000 people who think like you do in the room. And then what happens in that energetically is pretty amazing. So the only downside, like I say, of RAADfest is the community is not as, I'll say, tight. It's not as consistent in the movement yet. All right. But it really pays. They're both two different organizations. So I would say, yeah, if you could join both of them, you would strongly benefit.
I'm so excited.
Either one you choose is a good start.
Well, I'm so excited about RAADfest this year. This is the first time in many months that it will be live, and it's going to be in San Diego in October. Right. And I'm actually going to be speaking in the program, but I'm most excited about getting to meet all the people there and hearing the other speakers that are going to be there. You mentioned a couple of them earlier. Certainly, Liz Parrish has been a speaker on our program talking about a gene therapy for longevity. And I saw Aubrey de Grey's name there. Yeah, from the
Dr. Bill Andrews, Dr. Greg Fahey, many others now. Also, we have about almost a half of them are, I'll say, mainstay doctors or scientists that are really, I'll say, focused on age reversal, that have, started in the beginning with us, and they're always progressing. Like Dr. Bill Andrews, for example, will have some new announcements to make in his progress. Same with Liz Parrish. I just talked to her the other day and did an interview with her. She's got some exciting new work that she's been doing in gene therapies that I think will really astound people. And then there's we have a entrepreneur that's from actually he's based in Australia right now, and he's working on a special blood test, a very simple blood test that anyone can take. It'll be inexpensive to detect cancer in the body, any cancer, and it can actually detect exactly where that cancer's at. So that's going to be the yeah. He's already beginning to launch that in Australia, and he'll be launching that here in the United States soon, and he'll be launching it at RAADfest.
Oh, great. And
So
that's
people will
done with
probably
the
do that blood test right there at RAADfest. They want.
wow. That's great. And you do have a large technical exhibit area too, with vendors, and also if people want to see things like this blood test and other things that are available in the
Exactly.
longevity space, that will be there also, correct?
Yeah, is that we call it the marketplace of the future.
Mhm.
It's got a. We're very careful about who we actually let display there, because we want we don't just want people just selling anything with some type of loose promise. We've evaluated all the exhibitors very strongly, and it's people will be very impressed at what is available, and life changing protocols and supplements that people can utilize to actually advance their health and possibly even slow aging.
Yeah. Now, do you also do online programs with the Coalition for Radical Life Extension as well?
Yes, we do webinars every maybe 3 to 4 months, special webinars with special guests and special topics. The last one was actually a topic on citizen scientists. And we brought in some citizen scientists working on everything from pet longevity to other, enhancements that they're working on. And it was a big success because, the reality is that there's always been citizen scientists around, and they people don't recognize that they've actually contributed to the field a lot. And especially, my definition of a good citizen scientist is when they also collect the data, right? They're not just going by symptoms, and they're actually collecting the data. And some of these do a really good job, and then they are able to aid a lot of times what's going on with some of the scientists that are actually working in that field. So they've helped advance this cause a lot themselves. Brian Delaney is a citizen scientist who you've met recently, and he's now working on actually a pretty big study on exosomes, and so we're going to get some good data from that pretty soon.
Yeah,
It's one thing to say, hey, these exosomes are great. It's another thing to actually get the data and see how they're working, right? Same thing with rapamycin. That's why you're doing rapamycin, and I commend you for that, because I think it's such a great protocol. But we need to know the data.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of citizen scientists, and it's almost some of the best ideas come from people who aren't necessarily in the academic space, who may get a fresh look looking at it, but wherever you are in the space, whether you're in an academic university or a citizen scientist doing work yourself, the interesting thing about longevity research that I've noticed is that everyone shares a passion about it that you don't really see necessarily in breast cancer research or ankle research or other research. And somebody made the observation that, well, the one thing about longevity research is that everybody in the field is going to get that disease and die of it eventually. So everyone who's working on it has a personal self-interest in it that you might not have with breast cancer or something else.
Very good point. Very good. Yeah, and along with that, it's such a lofty goal that I think it also kind of raises the purpose within a person. And very few people have any big purpose. I think that's one reason people deteriorate and die. They don't have much of a purpose in life. But everyone I've met in this field, including you, are amazing people with a great sense of optimism and really a great sense of humanity. And I think it's you're a special breed, and it's exciting. Everyone, I mean, I can say across the board. That's why RAADfest was so powerful. People walk in there and they go, "Gosh, everybody's so warm. They're not fighting. They're not arguing. Who has the best protocol? They're like all working together." And there were some good debates. That's great, but they weren't in each other's throat. And it was an amazing experience, because you have these people who really all want this, like you said, they all get this same disease, and we all have to cure it together.
Yeah, and it's a win-win. We're all working for the same thing.
Right.
Well, I always enjoy this part of the show when I get to invite our guests. Yourself as an expert in longevity, you've been in the field for 50 years. You're aware of the latest things that are happening over that. I'd be curious if you don't mind sharing with us what personal choices you've made in your lifestyle with diet or supplements or exercise or pharmaceuticals even that you think bring value as far as longevity and anti-aging. You certainly don't look your age. You probably could get carded going into a bar.
I don't act my age either, so
that's even more important.
Exactly. Well, I've always worked to have a good base, and I think that's as Ray Kurzweil said, there's 3 stages. There's the foundational health, okay. Then there's the longevity arena, and then there's like moving into the, as he puts it, the cloud, where we actually achieve immortality. And so, but you have to have that base. Too often people think, well, I'm not going to take care of myself, because this new protocol is coming, and I'll just take a pill and it'll solve everything. Well, we have seen that really doesn't work very well. Okay, if you're in some type of unhealthy critical state, or just even basically unhealthy, the protocol doesn't work as good. And sometimes sometimes they won't even let you into the study or let you have the like Greg Vejes has qualifications, and so will Bill of health, because they don't want to risk creating a conflict with an already weak body. So we have to keep our but again, you enjoy life better when you're healthy, right? So Absolutely. So just to do the basic protocols, and as time has passed on for me, I've learned more and more good ones. I mean, I've always been a fan of cleanses, because I think the body needs to cleanse out all the time. And in fact, I was talking to a scientist yesterday who's a regenerative scientist, who was telling me that he actually thinks that's one of the key things for super longevity is getting rid of the deterioration that's there in the body, the zombie cells. And of course, that's what senolytics is about too, using those, and ridding ourselves faster of the waste so that we're ridding ourselves, shedding the waste faster than we're collecting it. And then that gives the body an opportunity to constantly regenerate itself more and more all the time. So that's one of his, he's going to talk more about it at RAADfest, and there's a lot of details in it that I won't even attempt to go into, but it's pretty profound, his talk will be. So I've always done that, cleanses, running down the line, trying to eat as good as I could eat. Now, basically, at this point, things change, of course. I'm more or less on a superfood diet, you might say, along with kind of I'll say it's a modified paleo program devised by Dr. Michael Rose, who believes in the evolutionary sense that if we'll eat, like our ancestors, we'll hit what's called an immortality plateau. Okay, and then from there, that we maintain our health there, and then as the advancements come, we'll be not only available to them, but we'll benefit from them so much more. So that basically involves a paleo diet, but it also involves leaving out some of every grain, for example, maybe a little rice, but a lot of vegetables. If you're vegetarian, you can actually do more of a paleo vegetarian program on paleo. But I eat a little meat, very light meat, and so I've been able to maintain, a good strength, and that's a key thing. You want to get stronger every day, even if it's a fraction. So I do things along with that. I do a number of things. I probably have a 30 protocol list, right? And I do at least 5 or 6 of them every day. I don't know if you ever heard about the spinning thing, where you spin 21 times to the left and spin 21 times to the right. Okay, that's a great thing for balance. Okay, for anybody, but especially as you mature, it helps get the cerebral cortex gets as kids we used to do that, spin until you fall on the ground. Now, if you tried spinning, I would guarantee you, if you've ever done it, probably 2 or 3 spins one way or other way, you'd be pretty dizzy. Okay, but you build yourself up gradually to 21 both ways, and it's amazing for the balance. As I've been doing that, I've tested myself. I go to an OsteoStrong gym here in town, which helps build the bone density and strength. And when they test my balance, I'm off the charts. And I think that's the major reason from that spinning, that I do every day. So I do a lot of protocols like that, from breathing exercises. William, his name is the Iceman, who does the breathing, in cold water. So I do cold dips out here in my pool, infrared sauna, stretching, interval training, things like that, some resistant training. Also, like I mentioned, this OsteoStrong program. So those are the base of my wellness, along with the good eating fundamental. Those just, like I said, there's a list that I do, but I can't go over them all right now. But that's the main ones. And then as far as any of the age reversal protocols now that I'm engaged in, I want to do rapamycin, which I plan to start soon, but I'm watching you and see how you do. And others, Buffalo, I'm checking that out. I do low dose naltrexone. I think that's been pretty amazing for me, and a level of inflammation, getting out inflammation out of the body. I really love that. I think it's been great. A lot of my other colleagues and friends who do it have had some amazing results. Arthritis fundamentally going away, etc. Joint pain. I do exosomes. I've done full body exosomes twice. Some of the top best quality exosomes that's available. I've done NAD. I do NAD periodically. I haven't done the injections. I mostly do the oral, but I think the injections are great too, especially if you want to, boost yourself quickly, eliminate mind fog. It's great for so many people who have mind fog, maybe addictions and so forth. It really helps clear the mind. And so I do quite a regimen of supplements, everything from superfood supplements to Life Extension has a product called Senolytic Activator. Okay, it's been I've been very successful in taking that. In fact, I had a knee injury about 12 years ago, and my knee was really sore and bad from it for up until about a year ago when I started taking the activator, Senolytic Activator, and that joint pain went fundamentally almost all away. I mean, I didn't have any, and my energy lifted from that. It's pretty remarkable response I had to it. Then I take all the basic supplements and vitamins, the key one, vitamin D, C, the astathin, and it's called, I'm sorry, I get the name of all these right, astaxanthin, and many others on that level. That doctor, I followed a lot what Dr. Kaufman, in her Kaufman Protocol book recommends. Are you familiar with that?
She's been on the program. Yeah,
she's done a great job of analyzing these supplements and what works, what doesn't. It's a remarkable book, and we're really grateful for. She's another one that made such a great contribution to RAADfest, and we'll be here this next year with a new book.
Great.
So that's pretty much the summary. I mean, I could go on because I have quite a actually, but you know what? People can say, "Oh, that's a lot you do," or "That's too much." How do you do too much for your health?
Right.
I mean, look, I don't just take things randomly either. I should say you have to be safe about it. Okay, I get blood tests. I do what my doctor recommends. I try not to do anything that has a reaction there, and I haven't had any problems along those lines. But wow, when you really want to live and you want to be healthy, it's exciting to do things for your health. We have to change our mindset around that. Oh, I don't want to take that much. I don't want to exercise. I don't want to, how much time do we spend destroying our bodies? And then the question is, how much time do we want to spend building our bodies and making ourselves healthier? Because health, as you know, and everyone knows consciously, is the greatest gift we can have.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's our human right to have it.
Yes, absolutely. Several of our guests have mentioned fasting, and do you do any fasting protocol?
Yes, I'm sorry, fasting. I just going down fasting is I think is enormous. So I fast probably 3 times a week, 16 to 17 hours. And so that works real good for me. I'm 190 pounds, 6'4", so I'm probably ideal for my weight. For my height.
Excellent. Well, whatever you're doing it right. It looks like, yeah, that's great. Well, Thanks so much for being on the program. Before we step away, maybe you could just take a moment and tell our listeners how they can reach you on social media and the websites. We're going to put them in the show notes, but some of our people are listening on a podcast or riding their bikes or something. So if you wouldn't mind just telling them, they can get to it that way as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, the best way to reach me personally, you can reach me at my personal email is jrstrole@gmail.com. I'm happy to hear from you. Like all of us, we're busy, but as I don't answer you right away, I will get to you. I have a team that will respond to you too. And then I'd love to hear your comments and questions and interact. Also, you can call we have a team that works in our People Unlimited office and the Coalition office. So you can go to rlecoalition.com and you can go to our website there for the coalition, and it shows all the contact information. It shows information that you can go to our website for RAADfest actually, which is www.raadfest, that's RAADfest, FEST.com, and there you can see what the event is all about. October 6th through 9th is when the next RAADfest will be live in San Diego. I want to invite you. You can't really afford to be there because this is about your life, and we're building momentum. Numbers matter. We want to build a huge form of people that really draws attention to this great work, and we start giving our efforts to building this world instead of and ourselves instead of destroying it. And we can do that by all of us working together. So go to that site and you can join there. You can register there for RAADfest, and we're always happy to hear from you. There's numbers on both those sites. You can reach the office, ask any questions. We're very available to people on that level because that's what we're about.
Great. Well, thanks so much for spending an hour with us today, Jim, and hearing about the great work you're doing. And I'm personally so excited to see everyone in October at RAADfest in San Diego. And thanks again for everything.
We're excited. Thank you, Robert. We're excited to see you in San Diego, and thank you so much for having me on your show.
Note, this is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking of it because of something you have seen here. If you find this to be of value of you, please hit that like button and subscribe to support the work we do on this channel. Also, we take your suggestions and advice very seriously. Please let us know what you'd like to see on this channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll hope to see you next time.